Hey, 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 good morning. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to Wake Up and Airbrush. You caught me while I was just starting to prep my skin with our skin prep for hyaluronic acid and just kind of getting it ready for you guys as we do today's demo. We are going to talk about training our trigger finger and how we find that perfect coverage as we do that. So, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We're going to do our little demo. And again, I'm using our hyaluronic acid. You can hear my compressor and it all coming out using our skincare with the hyaluronic acid to get my skin ready for what we are going to be doing in today's demo. Oh, good morning, Cindy. I'm so glad to see you. I saw your skincare challenge photos. They are great. So I am glad that the skincare challenge is working well for you and amazing for you. Again, if you guys are just coming on, say hi. Good morning, Veronica. I am using some of our skincare. This is the AHA, and I'm just kind of blowing it on to prep my skin to get ready for our demo. So we're going to have a demo today, and I am going to talk about one of the things that is really that we teach a lot. And I actually had an argument with Heather about when I first started with her here at Luminess. Now, mind you guys, I have been an airbrush makeup artist for 25 years. So, like, I was around whenever they had the really long, big compressors that were 15 pounds that you had to carry everywhere. But airbrushing was so good, like, we could not do it. Like, when we were having weddings or when we had celebrity clients, it is such a great technique. You could not do it. So we carried the compressor around. It was not this. So I know how to airbrush. I know how to get a look. I know how to create the look. I know all of that stuff. But when she sent me this and we started going with the breeze, I've got to tell you, this is a game changer and a game changer in a few different ways. It's a great game changer, but there's a little bit of a learning curve to it. And so we're going to talk about that little bit of learning curve today from going from a stylus to the breeze and creating your perfect coverage with that. Because there is a little bit of a change. Even if you are a veteran airbrusher and have been doing it for a hot minute, there's a little bit of change. So one of the biggest things that I teach people on how to train their trigger finger, and that's what I call this. This is the trigger that releases all of the product out, and this is our trigger finger. And so we're going to talk about how to train the trigger finger. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go over the basics because that's what we have to do. We have to do the basics first. You know, the four-finger whisk away, right? That's how far away we do. You know, we start with a circular motion and we have that four-finger whisk away and we go all around. That's the basics for airbrushing. But when we're training our trigger finger in the breeze and on the breeze, there really was a game changer that helped me with that. And that game changer was airbrushing a paper towel. I know that sounds insane and crazy. And if you have not tried it or done it, I'm going to tell you why it's so important to do it and to try it. Other than we've already, if you've been working with a stylus, if you've been using your stylus, the pressure that you pull back on that manual stylus is different than this automated pressure. It's really different. And so when your brain can see how much is coming out and it can hear it and it can feel it, then you change the muscle memory of it. So, you know, like Heather has preached it and showed it. She's like, when you get a on your face or what she calls a hot spot, you tap it out, right? Getting that with this is so much quicker and easier to do than you would even imagine. So I am going to talk to us about training our trigger finger and then customizing that for our look. So I have got, for me, a darker color. that is not my shade. So I'm just going to use one that I've had because it's not my shade, and I'm not going to be, using my product that I want to waste or not use. Good morning, Lori. Good to see you here. And I am going to I'm just going to fill it up because I'm not actually going to airbrush myself. I'm going to train my trigger finger. Again, this is just really good to create that muscle memory of knowing how far to pull back and to see how far to pull back to get the coverage that you need. Yeah, you would do it on your bathroom mirror, so you would have to wash your mirror. Oh, that's funny, Cindy. I love that. So training the trigger finger, grab a white paper towel. You don't get any lighter than this. And we're going to give coverage and color to the white paper towel. And what that does is that lets you see, one, how much is coming out, how it's building, and how far you have to pull back to get it. And so as I'm slowly, see, that is a slow build of the coverage. That slow build. That's what we're looking for. But if I pull back and I get that means I'm pulling back too far. And it's really easy when you're going and wanting to do coverage. And even with the stylus has a little bit more tension on it than this trigger does. This is it's a very sensitive trigger. This is what I'll say. And so if we're even pulling back a third, that's still too heavy. Like, we don't need it that way. What we're wanting to do is we're wanting to slowly build that coverage and paint that coverage in a light way to where even I still see some of the white through it, because that shows my skin through it. And I don't, there's some areas that I need to cover up fully. And then there's some areas that I need my skin to just kind of glow and shine through. And so where I would need more coverage is where I would give more coverage versus that or that. And that is one of the main tricks, one of the main ways that is really, really important in training your trigger finger. I would say when I'm over at LUMINESS Live, 60 to 70% of the people I talk to have not done trigger training and have not trained their trigger finger to be that light as they need it to be. And that is the challenge that they are having in not getting the look that they want. So I wanted to just come on and talk about trigger training and really show y'all the importance of trigger training and how seeing it really helps do that. We're seeing it really helps train your eye and all of that good stuff. So now what we are going to do is we are going to go ahead and start our demo. We're going to do a look and make it happen and see if we can't get the coverage that we need on this mug. So one of the things that I love about one of my favorites, let me pull out my right color here. One of my favorites is, and I know that Heather and I have different favorites. She actually really likes Glow, and I actually really like Love. So I am looking for love in all the wrong places. Oh, sorry, that was a bad thing. I need to not sing on air. Okay. And I don't find no love. I'm not finding any love anywhere. So I guess I'm not going to have some love today. But one of my favorite things is to add love to my foundation and to have that dewy glow look with love. And so I'm going to do that today. So we are going to be doing a giveaway soon. I got the privilege of doing a giveaway, I think 2 weeks ago. Over at the LUMINESS Live group. If you were in there, you got to make your wish and got to do tell me what your wish list was. And I think we're going to be doing another giveaway soon. So you may want to find me over there and see if you can be a part of that. Alrighty, so the trick that I'm going to do today is I want to powder before our airbrush. Hello, Andrea. And this is one of those things that give your foundation just a little bit of a different look. Really just help it. It gives what I call a little bit of a velvety look. So it adds a little bit of a layer between your skin and the airbrush pigmentation and gives it that velvet look. So first things first, what is my biggest challenge that I want to address? I am going to address my lovely dark circles under my eyes, and I'm going to show you how I address it. Everybody is different. So hear me. When you start dealing with under eye circles, under eye pigmentation, there's so many ways. It's either from hyperpigmentation, blue blood pooling, or even shadows from the way your eyes are shaped. It's kind of like bra shopping or jean shopping. You got to get the right fit, the right formula for you, because everybody's different. So this is my fit and formula because I don't necessarily have the shadowing. Like my eyes aren't so far back in recess that it's shadowing. Mine is mainly hyperpigmentation and blue blood pooling. In other words, if I don't get enough sleep or anything, if I'm not hydrated enough, they look really dark and are really hard. So I am going to pull out Prism in the peach. And that is going to help counteract the area under here that is the blue blood pooling and help with that hyperpigmentation. So let me burp this. That's what we call it. We call it burping it, where you make sure that it has the ability for everything to come out. Shake it up and burp it. Okay. A couple of drops. There we go. And then after that, I'm going to do eraser. So let me pull my mirror up. And if you'll notice, I'm doing it at a little bit of an angle. Hold on just a second. There. Okay, it's coming out now. Now, for me, because I was raised in a makeup area of brushes, there is a comfort zone of me for brushes. Now, and I love to airbrush, but I also love my brushes. So for me, after I airbrush under my eye, I'm going to go in with a short, small, dry powder brush. There's nothing on it. It's clean. And I am just going to push that as far up under my eye and buff that out. It's like the tapping thing that Heather says to do what I want it to do. That is a comfort zone for me. It is a habit for me. It's not saying anything to anybody that doesn't do it. I just really like my brushes, and they are my comfort zone and how I was trained. And so I use them still in addition to and with my airbrush system. Okay, so I put some eraser in there. There was still a little bit of Prism, so I'm going to back bubble to blend that together. There we go. And now I'm going to do another layer of, or another pass to conceal under my eyes. Now, I have not done any kind of foundation yet, y'all. There's no foundation. This is just pre-coverage under and around my eye area because I get that a lot from people, is them wanting to know how to use that under eye and to cover that area. And this is full pigmentation. Okay, so that's done. And again, for me, because of how I like it, I'm going to come in and I am just going to use my dry brush and get it right up under that eye and just pat it out to give that coverage that I want. Because again, it's full pigmentation. All I'm doing is making it and making sure it's buffed out, which buffing is a technique that we use in makeup artistry to just kind of take off the excess that we don't need, move around everything where we want it. And there's nothing on my brush. It's just buffing it to give it that extra polished look. Alrighty, so for me, that's the pre-coverage. That covered my dark spot. I hit my dark spot right here above my eyebrow that I have. I hit the hyperpigmentation under my eyes that lightened them and brightened them. You saw that. And then now I'm just going to do a pass. I'm going to do a pass with my 20. So, and look, y'all, I still have a large amount or a decent amount in my well. But I have the coverage I need, and so I don't feel like I want any more of that. And so I'm just going to, for me, I'm just going to spray it out. It's just a few drops. It's no big deal. And I'm going to put in my Silk 4-in-1 20. I am a 20. I am as light and as bright as they come. And I've just put like 4 drops in. 4 to 5 drops. Nothing big, nothing major. Your under eye coverage looks good. I can't tell you need the coverage. Girl, I need the coverage. I promise you, I need the coverage. Those darkness is real. It's real. Now, if you will notice, I am barely pulling back, but I'm still getting a decent spray line coming out. And again, as far as foundation goes, there's only particular places where I feel like I need more coverage. And I did not grab those. Let me grab it. To me, that is a decent amount of coverage right there. And my coverage is full. You know what? My coverage is full, except for on this side, I have a little bit more. And on this side, I have a little bit more. I have age spots on the side of my face. My middle portion is good, but on the other parts, these sides, I have to cover my age spots just a little bit. I turned 50 and, things change and things drop and spots come up and I want to cover those, but I don't want to do too much coverage because I want it to be natural and youthful. So right here, and I know y'all can't see it because the lighting is a little bit bright, but right here, there is some age spots that I want to get a little bit more coverage on. And so I am going to do one more pass on that side. I'm going to do my chin because it tends to get red. I'm going to do one more pass on this cheek. It's funny because Heather will tell you most of her passes are right here and most of my passes are on the sides. So thank you, Lori. Actually, my birthday is not until the day after Labor Day. I was a Labor Day baby. So yeah, it's coming up to be celebrated. I just celebrate all week, all month long. This is my birthday month. Let's do it. Age spots are God's way of poking and saying he's done. He's not done with you yet. You are so right, Cindy. He's not done. And they are there and they are alive. September 15th, Lori, I'm September 5th. So we're 10 days apart. September. You know what? We were joking the other day. There are so many September birthdays. So many September birthdays. And we were like, that must have been a cold, lonely winter because there is a lot of September babies. Okay, I just put 2 to 3 drops for my blush in. So I'm going to add a little bit of blush. Now, remember, guys, the blush, super, super light on that trigger because it blooms after it's on. So you're not going to have it on and it be, whoo, there it is, like you would with a traditional blush. It is going to need a couple of minutes to heat up with your skin tone and to do the fullness of what that pigment is called to do and made to do. So you really, really don't want to look crazy and you really want to give it a couple of minutes to heat up and to bring that coverage and go then. Lori, you're going crazy about turning 40. My crazy turning time was 30. So at 30 years old, I stayed 29 for 10 years. So it went 29.1, 29.2, 29.3, 29.4. So by the time I logistically turned 40, I was like, okay, it's okay to turn 30 now. So yeah, that's what I did, Lori. So I hear you about the resistance of changing it. So right now, this is my look. Now, and I've got the coverage I want. I like a very natural look. I like it to look like I have little of nothing on. I want it. Hello, Miss Amber. Good to see you. I want it to really just be a prettier version of me. So, I'm really light-handed. I can do a little bit of glam, but then sometimes my glam is still pretty natural, especially if you compare me and Heather. Her glam is glam, glam, and my glam used to be super glam, glam, but it's a little more natural now. So the one thing that I do that Heather does not do, but I like it, is I buff after I'm finished. Again, that is a technique that a lot of makeup artists do when we use traditional makeup. And so I'm going to show you real quick what buffing is and show you how it makes the difference. And so this is a buffer brush, a kabuki brush. They use this whenever you're using like mineral powders, all of that. This is a buffer brush. So I have all my foundation on, I have my blush on, I have my pre-coverage, I have my concealing under the eyes, all of that good stuff. And you saw me use this brush under my eyes as a small buffer brush. So what buffing does is it really just takes off the excess that you need and allows it to really just blend in with the heat of your skin and do the fullness. So buffing with traditional foundation is different. Buffing with traditional foundation takes off the extra foundation you have, works with the lotions and the emollients that's in that foundation. Well, airbrushing doesn't have any of that. You just have straight pigment. That's it. So buffing with pigmented foundation and airbrushing really just stimulates your skin to heat so that everything meshes and moves just a little bit into that final look. So you can say, okay, I've got what I need. I like what I need. Oh, I might need to do a little bit more. So for me, I just do, and I don't do it heavy. I don't do it hard. There's nothing on my brush, nothing. And I just do a quick little buff. And it just stimulates my skin and the heat of my skin with that pigment to make sure that I have everything where I want it to be and how I want it to be. And it adds a little bit of a glow there. So for me, that is my finessing step. You can do airbrushing without any brushes whatsoever. You can. Heather does it all the time. I've done it all the time, here and there. I prefer a few brushes, traditional brushes, to add into it because I'm a makeup artist and I do brushes and it's what I like to do. And so just remember, guys, you can couple your airbrush system with some traditional makeup techniques and they blend beautifully together. Like I can use a brush on my skin and it's not going to ruin the airbrushing technique. Oh, that is a good question. Okay, so I'm going to put this question up there. Andrea, what is the difference between buffing and blending? Great question. Blending, I don't really have anything in the differential to blend. I have the pigment placed where I want it to be placed. And so there's not anything I'm trying to move to blend. When you're trying to blend, you have emollients and lotions of traditional foundation that you're wanting to pick up or remove and place in other places. So a beauty blender is meant to impact, pick up, and move that foundation to blend in with the other foundations around, right? Buffing is really a stimulation. Now, again, in airbrushing, not in traditional foundation, in airbrushing, it is really a stimulation of the skin to make sure the pigment is pretty well evened and the heat of your skin is I don't want to say melting the pigment, but it's reacting to the pigment to help it bloom like the blush as much as it can. So we're not actually picking the pigment up off the skin as much as we are stimulating the skin to just work with that pigment a little bit better. Does that make sense? Now, the tighter I use on a brush, we can go into blending with this because it's a smaller brush, and I can actually, if that pigment were wet, like say I just like and got a little too much, and I do that, I'm then blending and moving. But as you're airbrushing it on, that pigment's dry. And so you're not really going to move anything. But when you stimulate and have the skin heat up, it really does help it to do what it's made to do. So that's a very advanced kind of thought behind it. And so that was a great question, Andrea. That's a great question. What is the difference between buffing and blending? And again, there is a difference between buffing and blending in traditional foundation, and there is a difference between buffing and blending in airbrushing foundation. And so we're talking airbrushing, not in traditional foundations. Okay. Amber, great question. What is the difference between a beauty blender with original makeup sponge? Okay, so, okay, we're going to go into makeup 101. Okay, let me talk to you. I love this. I love it. Thank you for asking that. Beauty blenders and sponges are meant to blend. And the reason they tell you to wet them is so that you can move the makeup and the foundation out of the way. You do not want to do that with airbrush foundation. Don't do it. You'll mess it up. It doesn't have the lotions and the emollients in it that traditional foundation is. So a beauty blender is not what you want to use with airbrushing. I'm just letting you know, especially a wet one. So sponges are meant to blend. Sponges are meant to remove color, remove excess, and blend darker and lighter colors together. Okay. It's also meant to pack it into your skin. Yeah, you pack it in and you pull it out. You pack it in and you pull it out. So that is what sponges or beauty blenders are meant for. Brushes have different meanings or different uses for the different kind of blush. It's kind of like when you paint. Using a thinner, finer brush gives you a different stroke. Using a bigger, fatter brush gives you a different stroke. It's a control thing. So using a buffer brush really just gives an overall big finish and helps the finish of making sure everything is polished. It gives that little bit of extra. And do you have to do that? You do not have to do that. You will have a beautiful, polished look, even if you don't. For me, it's in my comfort zone, and it's because I love the way a buffed look is. If I press too hard, I'm going to move all of that pigmentation off, and I don't want to do that. So it's a very light finish. But the difference between a sponge and a brush is application. Sponge blends and removes. Brushes apply and give a certain stroke or certain look or certain application with the type of brush that it is. Y'all, I could do a whole episode on just brushes and how to use what brush and why a brush is shaped the way it is. I used to have those on my Instagram. We would have brush lessons and sponge lessons and all of that. I think they're still there. But yeah, that's a great, great question. Just remember, when we're talking about airbrushing, the air is your brush. You don't have to use the brushes that I told you about or that I showed you about. But you can, if you choose to, at the end, use a brush and do it. It is so versatile. You don't have to. It is your brush. This is your application. So where I would put on with traditional foundation, this brush, and this is what I'm using. This is what we call a finishing brush or a finishing technique. This has already given me a finish. But if I want to do a little bit more, or I want to do it because it's in my comfort zone, I have the freedom to do it because it is so inclusive and versatile, and you're not stuck to just this. You can add it and have so much more, and you can be happy with just airbrushing, and it's perfectly, perfectly okay. So remember, guys, train your trigger finger. Training your trigger finger is first and foremost. If you did not see the trigger training at the beginning of this video, please, please, please go back and watch it. It will give you the beautiful, finessed, perfect coverage amount that you're looking for. Because again, it's very personal. It's very what your coverage of full coverage might be, what my coverage of full coverage might be, could be completely different. So please go do your trigger training, refresh yourself with that, and then come up with your perfect look and your perfect coverage. Also, remember, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, Luminess has done this thing. They have changed the support system, and I love, love, love it. They have beauty experts available to you on the phone to help problem solve with you, help talk you through things, help you understand your products, help you understand techniques and tips and how to create a look. So you can call them at this 1-800. This is not customer service. I just need you to know it's not. This is their private line where you can call and ask questions, and they are there to help you. Also know you can go over to Luminess Live, where I'm at. I'm there every day, Monday through Friday, to answer your questions. And Heather does small group classes. You don't want to miss her small group classes. They are on Mondays and Wednesdays at noon Central Time. So she's got one coming up today soon. That is a free class to you. You can take it as many times as you need, or not. Now, another thing that Luminess has just created for you guys is on-demand private training rooms. If Heather's small group class time will not work for you and you need help and you're not understanding, or you're confused, or you're wanting to create a different look, they have on-demand training rooms over at Luminess Live in our group. It really is a great supportive group to be a part of. People there are kind. They are there to help you and give you tips and tricks and really just help you customize your look to be exactly what you want it to be. Laura, you just joined to be a pro member. Congratulations, girl. You will love, love, love the perks of the pro membership. All righty, I'm going to let you go. Heather will be here tomorrow. Thank you for letting me come out and play and do a demo. Get that trigger finger trained and get your perfect coverage exactly how you want it. Until next time.